Selecting and placing are the first acts of creating a painting. When we're selecting, we're making a decision about something that captures our attention. But when we're placing, we're setting parameters around that to communicate the meaning that we want to communicate and to create the balance that we want to create. No painting can be really effective if the balance is not right in it. So the selecting and placing are, in essence, a way to, once we have selected them, to place images for good balance. One of my favorite ways of placing within a selection is rabatment. Now, what is rabatment? Well, here we go. We have a rectangle. Now we have a rectangle that divides into a square and a smaller rectangle. The rabatment is that line of division that divides the square and the rectangle. Every rectangle, in essence, has two rabatments. A rabatment on the right side, which creates a left square, and a rabatment on the left side, which creates a right square. We can also have an upper rabatment for a vertical piece or a lower rabatment for a vertical piece. Some historical uses of rabatment go back as far as 1486, well, the early Renaissance time. Yeah, and then we get into what is rabatment used for. Why use rabatment? Well, okay, here's the way it goes. We can use rabatment to create a division, a conversation, you might say, where one set of activity goes in the square and another set of activity goes in the rectangle. You can see here in this one, this is a mythological subject. The angelic portion of the subject goes in the square. The earthly portion of the subject goes in the rectangle on the right. And then you'll also notice that in the right-hand rectangle, the major value in the negative shapes is in dark, whereas square, the major shapes in the square are the negative space is lighter. Now, here's another use of rabatment that Monet used in 1873. So we're going from the 16th century now to the 19th century, and all through history you can see artists using rabatment. Now, rabatment is one way of placing images. It's not the only way artists have used, but it's one way, and it's the way we're studying today. And Monet often used it when he had a vertical shape within a broad expanse of space like we have here. That vertical shape would go on the rabatment, then that would replace a large expanse of shape in the square and a smaller expanse of space in the rectangle. Going on into the early 20th century, John Singer Sargent, I see I've got his name misspelled there. John Singer Sargent, this is a little bit more subtle use of rabatment, where you see that central frontal figure is sitting vertically and the rabatment is placed right through him. That kind of stabilizes the space, begins to balance the space. If he had put that figure any other place, it would have thrown the whole space out of balance. And now here's some of my uses of rabatment. Here is sort of a comical or whimsical subject of three jaybirds having a conversation. I call it committee meeting. The main conversation is going on within the square. The onlooker is in the rectangle of rabatment. Here's another one of mine where I've used the vertical of the tree on the rabatment. So then we see the river, and the large expanse of the painting is in the square, and then the smaller foliage area is in the small rectangle. And one more use for my work, the major activity or the major characters in the square, and then just extended space in the rectangle. Lots and lots of uses for rabatment. The main way to remember how to use it is looking for there to be a potential for two things happening, where there might be a major subject that just needs space, or whether there's a strong vertical that can be placed on the rabatment and that will help balance the material on either side. Lots and lots of ways you can use it.